Call this meeting to order. I'll start with the pledge, if you would, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So thank you everyone for coming tonight to the March council meeting. Regularly scheduled meeting. So let's start with the approval of the previous minutes. Let's just do them one at a time if we would, please. Assume we've all had the chance to read January's. Any discussion, anything, anybody want corrections? I'll entertain a motion to accept January's minutes as presented.
Motion.
Okay, Andy's made.
Second.
Okay, Andy, you made the motion. Second. To accept January's meetings as presented. All in favor, raise your hands. Okay, unanimous. Okay, let's go on to approving February's minutes from February 8th. Again, I'm assuming everybody had a chance to read everything, go through it. Corrections, discussion. I'll entertain motion for it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion was made by Lance to accept February's minutes. Here a second.
Second.
Second, Andy second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes. Unanimous. All right. Next on the agenda would be Mr. Bond, that's the gaming revenue presentation. Knock yourself, John.
Make copies.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, present copies, yeah.
Well, we've had better news, but we've definitely had worse news too. This is, what you've got here is basically, we've got January numbers. We'll have February numbers for, both Belterra and your local receipts, probably by the end of next week. Right now, because the state works off of a fiscal year, we've already got 6 months worth of numbers for what we're going to get for the year. So we've got some information in on what the first part of the year is likely to look like, enough to start to do some projections. Right now, it looks like we're probably going to be about $280,000 down versus last year. One of the reasons it's not more is because we were already down quite a bit last year. So, I mean, what we're working off of, if you go back to what we started from last year, it's about 800,000 from where we were sitting, what we were talking about when we were having these conversations a year ago. So, I mean, it's, you know, depending on where you're starting back and looking from, it's a pretty big hit. But if you're just looking at the numbers we rounded out December with, it's about a $280,000 decline.
It was slightly under 8 million last year, correct?
As far as what you actually,
See,
the total what you took in, now when you back out that 10%,
right, okay.
that goes to the neighboring counties, that goes down. But yeah, if you include that 10% in there, that it was just under 8 million.
Just under 8.
And road construction starts next week. First closures for the area, and then, you know, that'll pick up as the weather gets better. And that, I mean, that seems to be the biggest issue for what causes declines there. I mean, you know, the casino's not the only thing that impacts. I mean, there are lots of folks that are gonna.
What road closure are you referring to? Is that the one up at Patriot?
Yeah, the ones up on the east end of the county are gonna be the ones that happen first, and
That's right. So
Get any more information on 42?
42, I contacted somebody at work, and it's supposed to be this summer, it's supposed to open. It's ahead of schedule. That's my, you know.
It looks like it's blacked out. Let's see.
I know.
I see it down today. What was up for us too?
I think they're putting those signs up for Patriot. The signs that are here in town about closures, they're kind of confusing the way they're putting them up because.
Yeah, because it was right in, it was by that historical building.
This would be if they're gonna detour people and keep them on state highways, this would be their first, the last chance to do it.
They would have to, otherwise you've got them going up Turtle Creek.
So they'll probably be outside of Rising Sun too, routing people. I mean, when they get everything closed, they won't be able to get 250 either.
Yeah, but then the first one, the one that's getting ready to go, the slide by Patriot, that they're shutting that off at Wade Hill. There's one there at
Right.
Wade, and that they go, wait, there's no slide, you're not by the river until you get clear, but they shut it off at Wade Hill.
But why put
So
one in
you can
town?
go up.
There's one in town right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
they
it-
put them up there.
that's gotta be for that's for the big bridges down at Patriot, it has to be.
Well, they're also working on one of the slips there between Florida, they're at Boulder Tap, where they've got grade stakes
It's
out
between
all the way
Florence
to
and Patriot.
Florence and Patriot.
Yeah, it's from Wade Hill to, the other end of Wade Hill, or from the edge of Patriot. There's a slide somewhere that they're starting on. Do you see that? It was on the emergency management.
Yeah, they put specific locations up as to
Yeah.
where they'd be working. They've driven stakes a lot of other places, but
That's a slide, not a bridge. Every time that affects Belterra's numbers, they go down.
yeah, they say every closure impacts them, and sometimes they don't find out till they're into it, the extent of it. They learn a lot as folks start telling them. A lot of times it's just who calls them up and says, is the road open yet?
Joan, how does their credits work on fiscal year? Do they get the credits that Belterra gets? Do they get applied them like starting at fiscal year, like July and August?
The credits, yeah, they reset the 1st of July. And they don't get to use all of their credits usually. In order to use those, somebody's got to come in and play them.
Yeah.
So I mean, they get, I think they're up to $9 million worth a year they can use, and they're not able to get that much volume to come back in for people to come back in and play them usually.
Do we typically get less money at the beginning of the fiscal year for them from Belterra? Like, do we?
It's a lot less for a couple of reasons. The state holds out all of their expenses at the beginning, or all, like the statewide revenue sharing comes out at the beginning, the cost of the gaming commission, but also the tax rate's lower. So that's first of the year, they're only paying 10%, and what we get for February will be up to 25. I think it goes up as their revenue goes up.
We get closer to June 30th, we start getting.
Yeah, the numbers start to get, and that's what, as you look month to month, you'll see those numbers start to ramp up, and that's usually because the rate's going up as the year goes on, as their money comes in.
I was just wondering, I mean, as we sit here and try to guess for a year what the best thing is to do for all the entities that this goes to, like I'm trying to think like, are you better off doing it in January, or are you better off doing it at their fiscal year, July 1st?
The county usually gets a big check in July, but that's the supplemental check from the year before. So that's a couple $1 million usually. But it's the check to make up for lost revenue from
That whole
the prior year.
harmless thing.
Yeah, the hell harmless.
I think we should be doing this later on.
Well, I was just asking. At what point you can get the best picture of.
Usually July is when you know what most of your year is gonna look like. That's because that's, probably 70% of your money is determined by the middle of July.
Used to be we would have hit our cap by then, and we don't hit the cap anymore.
Yeah, well,
We
a lot of
haven't hit the
times
cap in a long time.
we would hit our cap in May. Yeah, and wouldn't get any money in June.
Yeah, wouldn't get any because you already hit your cap of what you're allowed to have, and now we don't hit it in the whole year.
And the held harmless checks used to be a lot smaller too, when we were bringing more money in over the course of the year.
There's no state deadlines for us. I mean, we can do it at any time. I just didn't know if it'd be better to do it in the summer. We'd have a better picture.
But you definitely have a better picture later in the year as far as what your year is gonna look like. And that's why we know in June and July what December is gonna look like most of the time. It doesn't move around much after those couple of big months come in.
So John, you're not gonna receive the numbers for February until next week, right?
Right, and I'm expecting it to look about the same as January. I mean, it might, whether it's over or under the year before, I'm not expecting a big differential really, but.
And so to Lance's point, and talking to Peter ourselves last year, you had 3 casinos open up, and when you look, and you have to use this as a trend marker. But if you look at the casino that was opened up in Kentucky at their racehorse park, whatever they're called, at Churchill Downs, you look at the numbers from May, that's a big negative. And then you move on to September when the new one opened up and you look at October's revenues, you go, uh-oh, we got another problem. I don't think we should make another move until, my opinion, until later in the year, May or June. Because if this is the trend marker, you're right, February could look good according to this report. But what's in front of us right now could bring a very big negative.
Yeah, I don't know that the next couple of months are gonna have any big smoke sign that's gonna tell us, one way or another, what's gonna happen when May and June start to come in, then you might see something. July is gonna tell you what your year's gonna look like, because that's gonna tell you what that held harmless check's gonna have, and the months that come after that don't bring big numbers in anyway.
Instead of being 8 months ahead, we need to be a year behind. You know what I mean? We're always projecting.
Yeah, you always project. Yeah, you have to set a budget up before the year gets here.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the revenue sharing. We really need to be a year behind.
I'm sharing.
How you do that, because by rule, you have to give the money out.
It has to go.
I don't know, we've done before, remember before we stopped it, because we didn't have any revenue coming in. Even though we had voted to give it out, you can only give it out if you have it. And when you quit getting it, we quit giving it out because we didn't have any choice. We didn't have anything coming in, and you didn't know when it was gonna start up again.
Right, I mean, that makes sense, but then you have to declare this year why you're not passing it out. If we look at today's sheet, we'd say we have enough money. I mean, if we were doing it today, voting on this today, we'd say, okay, we have enough money. But what's in front of us, by looking at the trends that are out there, it may be come May, we don't have enough money.
And then we could end it.
Yeah, you could do that.
We could. To me, that's, because you really can't project out. So we could end it when we see that it's really detrimental to us and we have to stop, and we'll just have to stop. Now we're guessing that we need to stop. And we know when we have to, we have to.
Well, it's still, right now, it's going out the same as it was last year. The money coming in, so.
Based on guessing that we're gonna get 6 million, so we've given ourselves a little bit of a, expecting it to be down even more than it was last year. So we're kind of covering ourselves a little bit there already, just by giving it out, the percentages out only on guessing that we're getting $6 million only. So we're kind of covering ourselves a little bit anyway, which is what we've done the last couple of years.
And then try to clean it up at the end of the year.
Yep.
If we don't have
And
it,
it's
they'll
worked
get it.
out well, so I don't think that we should change that personally. I think we should, we're budgeting that we're gonna get low, we're expecting low. If we get more, then dandy, we got more to do. It's a good thing we have a little extra. Because there's things happened that's calling for a little extra.
Well, that is a similar approach to what some other counties do. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in Ohio County when they've been doing budgets, but the way they used to do it was their revenue allocation was not of the whole pot. They had a section that was fixed expenses that when they gave out their percentages, it wasn't a percentage of the whole thing. It was a percentage of what was left after they covered
All
certain
their
expenses.
expenses. Yeah. Interesting. Wish you had better news. Thanks.
Me too.
All right, John, huh? Yeah, unless anybody else had anything?
John, you got a group coming in on Friday, so.
Right, yeah, that's the Indiana Destination Development Corporation, that's the state tourism office. And he's making a couple visits, he's coming to see Belterra, he'll be here in town to meet with folks, and it's not gonna be the last time they're stopping in to visit, they're out visiting communities all over the state, it's just a kind of statewide tour.
So you want us to stop in?
Yeah, if you can make it,
And that's 9:30?
9:30, yeah, at the tech center.
9:30 to when? Is it only at 9:30? He's just gonna be there right at 9:30
His next meeting is at 11, so he'll
Okay.
probably be there,
for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, good.
And then you on Monday or Tuesday at commissioners meeting this week, you mentioned you would receive a grant. Is there any matching funding or anything that goes along with that from the county?
For that one, it's, the only matching was making the space available. That was, we're actually, those will be coming up. Those are the ready grants. We're finally getting those in the process to get approved by the state. There'll be a couple more of those coming. None of those are gonna require any county funds as far as match. Some of them are gonna have to go, in front of different groups for approvals as they come through, but we were able to get them all through without having to have, they had to have some sort of public match, but we didn't have to have any of it actual being general fund money. In some cases it was, either donating space or any
Yeah.
kind of some sort, or whatever we could get to kind of cover those.
Have you identified a space for that?
Yeah, that's gonna be at the tech center.
Where in the tech center?
It's, we're not sure where all of it's gonna go in there, but we're looking at either the classrooms or the computer lab, most likely. Maybe some of the space there where the manufacturing lab was in the back. It's equipment, Purdue donated part of it. It's 3D printers, and there's what they call I'm gonna say this wrong, but it's a forge machine, basically. It's a laser cutting machine. It's advanced manufacturing equipment, they call it. It's for a training program that they've put together for students and businesses that, the president of Purdue was down here in, last fall and took a tour of the building, and, even with the court and the clerk's office and everything in there, he was really impressed. And this is actually the setup that they had at the state fair to demonstrate this stuff that they boxed up and shipped down here for us. And it fit really well with the Ready program that we already had pitched to them. So we just added it to that. And
So your grant would cover if you had to do any updates to that room?
yeah, in fact, it'll update that. We've had the same computers in there since 2012. It'll replace all of those and update the access system in the building that does all the key fobs and all that.
Okay,
Good.
good deal.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, next on the agenda would be Jamie Peters, Commissioner.
Wanted to come and give everyone an update on the flood. I don't know that I've given this group any updates since September the 3rd of last year when it happened. I know we had a joint session early on, but beyond that, I don't think that I've given any type of update. Obviously, that's not the only reason I'm here. I never come here just to give an update, right? I'd be usually asking for something, but just to give you a 30,000 foot overview of what's happened since the flood. As I mentioned, the flood itself was on September the 3rd of 2022. In the initial days after the flood, obviously we were trying to assess the damages, get estimates, to try and see if we qualified for FEMA relief. In trying to get those assessments completed, FEMA gives us initially 60 days to turn in those estimates. We couldn't get all of our estimates turned in the first 60 days because of trying to get calculations on the sediment and vegetative debris. It had to be calculated in cubic yards, which was just a major undertaking. So then we had to ask for a 30-day extension. So our initial cutoff date was November the 2nd. They give us a 30-day extension to December the 2nd. We did meet that. However, after going through a lot of days of flying drones, calculating coverage, highlighting it on the mapped out areas, the three counties combined come in just slightly under the FEMA threshold in order to qualify for the FEMA relief. So Their threshold was just over 12 million. Collectively, the three counties, meaning Switzerland, Jefferson, and Ohio County, came in just under 11 million, or just at 11 million. So we missed it by about 1.4, 1.5 million dollars. So with that said, the state then come back and said, okay, state assistance will have to kick in. We'll have to get approval from the government. And oh, by the way, we need all this information in the state's format. So we had basically 30 days to submit everything in the state format. We pretty much had it all submitted and in by the end of December. So since the end of December, I've communicated at least 2 to 3 times a month with Homeland Security, trying to get answers on where are we at. Are we going to get any relief? When are we going to get relief? How much money are we going to get? To this date, those questions have never been answered. The state did send a couple people down from Department of, well, not necessarily, not really. I can't remember the actual department now. It's EOC, but it's not what we typically think of when we think of EOC. But anyway, that person works with the DNR as well as the Department of Corrections. And what they were doing was saying, or looking and reviewing the damage again to say, okay, how can the state assist you with resources as opposed to funding? So they said, well, we think we can, use some of the Department of Corrections inmates to come out and help with the vegetative debris. We can use the Corps of Engineer to help with some of the sediment in the creeks, but still don't know to what extent that help will be offered. Finally, last Friday, actually, I finally called the governor's office about 2 weeks ago and said, look, we need answers. I mean, it's been 6 months, over 6 months now, and we still have absolutely no answers. Within 48 hours, I got a phone call saying, hey, we're going to get you answers. Somebody will reach out to you tomorrow. There'll be a meeting set up within a week, and we'll get you answers at that time. Well, to this day, I still never got that phone call. And to the best of my knowledge, that meeting's still never been scheduled. So last Friday, I finally got a letter from IDHS, and without reading the whole thing, I'll just give you the top paragraph. Basically, it says, even though the governor has not approved a specific dollar amount at this time, there are things that we can be doing in preparation for that announcement. Start putting together your damage cost documentation, your county accrued directly related to the September 3rd flash flood. And it had attachments, templates for us to use to resubmit for the 3rd time now, that same information. The good news is the templates are almost the exact same as what we've already submitted. So it's not like we've got a lot of work to do to resubmit it. The bad news is we still don't have answers. So that's kind of where we're at today. I know that the governor has declared it a disaster. There is going to be some funding and some relief. I just can't tell you how much. And I asked those questions during one of the phone calls, and the response I was given is, well, I don't have the exact formulas in front of me, so I don't want to tell you something and it be wrong. And I can understand that. I'd be the same way, because if you told me it was 50% or 70%, and then you come back later and said, oh, it's only 40, I'm going to say, well, wait a minute, right? So I guess I can understand that. But with that said, I don't know if any of you have been fielding any phone calls, but I field phone calls almost on a daily basis asking when we're gonna do something. And I'm of the opinion that we probably should have already done something related to the 2 major structures and at least 1 or 2 of the minor structures that's been damaged. I don't think we need to do anything as far as the vegetative debris or the sediment at this point. But my opinion is we need to start getting at least the 2 major structures back serviceable, if you will, and then 1 or 2 of the minors. I think the cost of the county to do that is probably somewhere around $1 million. So that's kind of what I'm here to ask you for tonight, is $1 million to start that work. Obviously, the first step in that process will be to get with our engineering firms and get engineered drawings so that we can send them out and get quotes. I would tell you the estimates that I have on the engineered drawings are not real expensive. They're probably somewhere, they're gonna be $20,000-$30,000, something like that. I say not real expensive, but
I mean, for the engineer,
just to basically create the scope of work for us to be able to get contractors to quote the repairs, because we don't even have that at this point. The only money that's been spent so far has come out of county highway, and that's been about, well, it's been $140,000. We spent 75,000, and this is all money that we didn't have budgeted. We just went ahead and spent it to get us where we're at today, to get roads passable, to clean the debris off of the two major structures. That was 75,000. Just so that USI, keep wanting to say CSI, USI could come in and actually do the initial assessments to make sure that the structures themselves weren't compromised or damaged. The good news is the actual structures aren't compromised or damaged. It's just the approaches on both ends are completely blown out, along with so many feet of road. So with that said, I'm of the opinion that we can probably at least get the two major structures back going, and one or the two of the minor, which I'm calling minor, is low water crossings on a couple of roads, to where at least you can utilize those roads again. And I think that'll be somewhere around $1 million.
Do those require drawings as well? The
The low water crossing, no, the state doesn't have any input on them.
just the two
Uh,
bridges?
and
What
so
are
we
the-
can spec them out however we want.
What are the low water?
One of them's Carpenter's Crossing. There's a cemetery there that I keep getting a lot of hard.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't realize that many people went to Carpenter's Crossing, but evidently they do.
I didn't either, but people do travel now. Yes.
And the other one's on, off of Kenneth Booker on, Drake's Ridge, yeah.
Oh, they took that one out too? That's already.
It won't require a whole lot of work, but yeah,
I saw-
you can pass it, you can cross it.
Kenneth Booker passable?
I haven't been down it, so I don't know if it's still passable or not.
The last time I seen you.
Right, yeah, I'm guessing it probably isn't, but I haven't been down it to even know if it's passable. And again, my thoughts are on Brown Road and Kenneth Booker Road, for now, we just won't do anything until we hear from the state.
If we take it upon ourselves, does that interfere with funding,
No,
possible funding from?
no.
Some of
They'll reimburse us whatever percentage it is, whether we've already spent the money or haven't.
so if we're able to give you the $1 million and you get reimbursed from the state, then we get that money.
You get
back.
that money back, yes.
We get the money back.
If you allocate $1 million and we only spend 700,000, then obviously
You get the.
you keep that, it stays,
Okay.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if you have to put it in a different fund or you just pay it out of a fund that you allocate it from. I don't know how that works, your council, so.
Do we know how much is left on the courthouse situation?
No, but, I would tell you that, there's 600,000, I know the 600,000 ARPA funds are still left. I don't think,
I thought we had spent into the.
we're pretty much near the end of where we're gonna be relative to the courthouse. The only thing we don't have that I could think of off the top of my head is redoing the front steps. I think we've already, approved the contracts, et cetera, and we was at just over $1 million. So that means we're somewhere into that 600,000 ARPA, for less than 100,000 of it. So I unless there's something unforeseen that I don't know about, we should have it allocated, or, so at this
They're
point.
basically putting it back together now. Is the roof done, the ceiling in the courthouse done?
The ceiling's done, it's painted. The only thing we're doing right now is debating on whether to take the scaffolding clear out or just lower it 6 feet so that a lot of the higher level work, if you could, well, can be done still from the scaffolding. We got a quote on it. We got a quote on it last week. It's $5,000 if they come in and just lower it. I asked Wesley today to go back and say, hey, look, it doesn't make sense for you to charge me $5,000 to lower it when I'm probably still gonna leave it in place for another month to 2 months, and you're gonna get that revenue, whatever that is, $150, $200 a day.
They should do that.
So that my contractors can use it and get done quicker rather than working off of ladders. If you won't lower it, then I'm gonna take it out and you're gonna lose all that revenue. So give me a better price. We'll see what happens.
Makes sense.
As far as the million that was originally allocated for it is gone, but, I think there's somewhere 500,000 to 600,000 left in the ARPA that hasn't been allocated.
This road preservation fund, that's the one we all chipped in.
Yeah.
It's showing a balance of 1.3 million.
Yes. That's because Omara didn't get, that's all
That's
already allocated and under contract as well. Omara didn't get all the roads done last year, so we only paid for the ones that got completed. So that other 1.3 million still,
It's budgeted out.
it's already under contract, if you will.
It's just still in there.
Because I've been
It's
asked,
spent.
why
In
is
my mind, things have changed since then.
I'm sorry.
like they started on the Fairview Bridge there.
Well, I mean, they did the study
Why
that
they
showed
done
which
that?
areas
Like,
to attack
this over
first,
here.
roads. But a lot's changed.
I said the priority planned ahead, right?
But they've already got it scoped out.
Actually, Fairview Road was supposed to be done last fall, but after the flood, we didn't go ahead and do it
Sorry.
because we had so many other
So they didn't pay them.
things going on. But
We're going to get,
Yeah.
each road, once it did not get done, it's gonna get done when?
The
On this
1.3.
road preservation money. You said tomorrow.
I would say they'll start somewhere around May,
Around there.
as soon as they can start
So I mean, it's
doing
this is
asphalt.
pretty- yeah, okay.
So we haven't paid them for everything they've done yet.
No,
How much of that's gonna be gone?
I think pretty much all of it. Do you remember?
I'm not for sure how much is.
They
haven't done this work. They're waiting for the work to be done. Roads last year that were supposed to be done.
And they didn't finish. For
And
what?
they didn't even, like Jamie said, once the flood came, they just.
They have like 30% of that $3.1 million. The total contract was $3.1 million. And they've done like 70% of that $3.1 million.
Have we paid them for the 70%?
We paid for the 70, but not the other 30.
Yeah.
That's why that 1.3 still, I think it's 1.3, isn't it?
Yeah.
In there.
I would have to ask Carla tomorrow. That's what he's talking
I don't know what you guys think, but the emergency funds that we have, the line item of emergency funds, this is pretty much an emergency in my mind. I wish we had been in this spot a couple, 3 months ago to try to get those roads done. I know you were waiting on hearing something, and that's good, because you want to know how much money you have, but it has to be done. We have to fix those bridges. We have to.
When do you want to do this? When you,
Well, I'd like to kick the engineering work off immediately. There's nothing to say that we can't potentially wait longer other than,
Go more phone calls.
But the weather's.
Lots
supposed to
more
get
phone
it done
calls.
Starting right now.
So if we pay for this out of the emergency funds and they end up getting reimbursed, we could just take that money
Right back in.
right back into the emergency
Yes.
fund, right?
So that's what you're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right here.
I'm thinking, taking it from the
What's-
So
emergency
if we do
funds,
this, how
that's what
soon
it
we can
is.
get on?
Okay.
what's the 600,000 for that? Well, it used to be called infrastructure, now it's called commissioners of the casino money. What's that go towards? It's 10%.
that goes to basically primarily unforeseen stuff that wasn't in the budget typically. But it is also budgeted line item or budgeted monies out of that. Well, you can see it, so we just got a distribution, it was down to $33,000. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, historically, it's been up around $500,000 as long as I've been a commissioner, but because we funded part of that $3 million for the resurfacing last year, we did the matching with council, that's why it's down to basically nothing. It was actually negative 2 months ago, a couple months ago, like $7,000 or
Well,
so.
we pulled half of it out of the.
We did we're done with the matching though, right? We did that. 2 different-
Yeah, you haven't been putting anything in it.
Will you take half out of where?
take half out of the general fund, half out of emergency, not there.
Emergency funds are for emergencies. That's what it's there for. It's not.
It would be
allocated.
nice not to eat it up.
We'll get it
If
right
we
back.
pay some of
We're gonna get it back.
We
If
don't-
not all of it. maybe.
We don't know. The state may say no.
it. Yeah,
You're on your
until you
own.
get in.
They've already said they're gonna pay some. They just didn't tell us how much.
Well, that's right.
I don't have a lot of faith in that.
So Jamie, with the $1 million makes sense. I mean, we got to address that. And I know Randy's heard and I've seen and heard of folks up there in regards to travel and how they get to where the one point to the other point.
You mean out of council?
It's gotten a little crazy.
Council.
But we give you the $1 million for the bridges. What do we do about the creek itself? Because it's changed the flow of that we've had other members that live up there saying this whole thing has changed. The water's in front of our houses. And you've done a heck of a job on this, but I'm looking at this from the standpoint, and maybe it is, what are we really going to get paid back? Because we don't know from the state. But if you fix it and we haven't addressed the river, the creek itself, we could be, who knows if we're going to get another 1,000 or 10,000 year flood, but it's definitely changed it to the point that even in the last week with that water, it went up and everybody was down there looking at how it changed the dynamics of that river. And then we have the people themselves, because some of them are now being told by their home insurance that you're going to have to pay flood insurance now. We need to hear from the state. And I was up there when the elected officials from state came in and they got their pictures taken, good for them. But I don't know necessarily they've been hopping on it for us as a county. And, then I would ask, you're handling this, but what participation are you getting specifically? Because this is your full-time job. You signed up to be a commissioner. That's your duties. You, Grant, and Jerry. But EMA, where's Tom in this? Because I think we ought to be seeing him standing up at state, maybe telling him to go up to state and stay there until we start seeing some action from them.
Yeah, I can tell you that I've shared all the information that I've received with Tom. I think pretty much IDHS considers me the contact person, so everything just gets sent to me, which everything isn't very much, okay? Because it's not like there's a whole lot of communication on there. And I've not asked Tom to do anything other than what he's doing at this point. So that was your second question. Your first question, the answer is of the basically $11 million that was submitted by the three counties, just over 11 million or just under, I can't remember. Switzerland County was almost 10 million of that. Okay, the vegetative debris and the sediment was about 7 million of the 10. So that's the creek portion. Okay, so if Homeland Security comes back and says, or the governor, whoever makes that decision, says, that's not going to qualify, then we're probably going to do nothing. I don't know where we would get the funding to do anything, number one. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. If they come back and say, we're going to give you these resources, then we're going to have to be very selective about where do we use those resources. We know they're limited. Or if we're only going to give you, let's say, 2 million of that $6+ million, $7 million for the sediment and debris removal, then obviously we'll focus on the sediment first. But there's a lot of cases where you're going to have to remove the debris just to get to the sediment. So again, we'll have to be very selective about how we approach it, depending on whether we get money and resources, or just resources, or neither.
Well, I'm of a mind that I think we need to do the $1 million out of the emergency funds and hope that we get reimbursed all of that or most of that, because we need to get the bridges fixed.
And again, I don't know exactly how long the engineering work will take. It may be a possibility that the governor makes a decision before we even get those drawings back and start getting quotes. So we may not even use part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just continue to wait on the state to make a decision. I think we have an obligation, to the residents of the county to take action anyway.
Where'd $1 million come from? Did you talk to engineers or are you just
I-
guessing
I,
all past experiences?
I don't want to publicly announce really anything. Because we do have, I'll tell you that we have handwritten, documentation from USI, which are the engineers, that says, this is what will have to be done. This is the materials. Here are estimates. I don't want to publicly announce those estimates because if I do that, then I'm telling potential
Absolutely.
contractors in the county how much those estimates are. So that's my hesitation. So my $1 million number isn't just being pulled from anywhere. There's something to it.
It needs at least that to make those roads passable. I'm ready to make a motion myself.
Well, I'm with you. on
With
that.
you.
I'll make a
you
motion
don't.
that we give the commissioners $1 million out of our emergency funds and fully expect to get that back from the state when they finally make their decision on how much money they give us back and put it right back in that fund.
Would you want to do that? Put it right back in the casino funds like that.
Back in the emergency funds.
You could do that.
Yeah, so you're, I don't know,
Yeah, they're reporting.
it's kind of almost a loan.
Was that your motion?
Yes, my motion is to take $1 million out of the emergency funds for the commissioners to rebuild those two bridges.
I'll second that motion.
So motion is from Alicia to take $1 million out of our emergency funds, casino revenue funds, emergency funds. Matt, you made second on that.
Yes.
All in favor for,
Hold on, what about discussion?
well,
It's $1 million.
you know what? You're right. Okay.
There's,
I'm sorry. I jumped the gun on that.
I mean, we got something else in here. We're talking about donating after prom. We got some write up and we got some discussion and we got nothing. There's just no way I can give $1 million away. Not happening. We need some details. You guys did a 5-year study on all the other roads and everything else. Where does this fit in that 5-year study? I'm assuming pretty high. So then the other things need to bump down.
The 5-year studies on the roads. Now, we do have a 10-year bridge plan as well. I can't tell you what the retirement date of those bridges, had they not been damaged, was. So I can't sit there and say, well, we would have had to replace them in 5 years anyway. But to me, it doesn't matter, Lance. I mean, it's got to be done. So that's why, to me, it doesn't matter.
Jamie, these are the primary two bridges that you're looking at.
Parks Ridge and Smith's Ridge.
And our liabilities for people going out there is special, not just the people that live up there, but our emergency services have to travel that same destination, that same detour. So we got a house burning down, God forbid, you're going all the way up and around to get back to it.
Yeah, depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't,
Bus routes changed and it has. to
let's
be
start
repaired.
talking insurance liabilities for us doing nothing. Let's bring in the insurance company and ask them what they think about this. Because I'm telling you, that's a liability on the county.
I think we have to do it. And
If
we're gonna,
he's-
we're
if
gonna,
he's
I
designating
fully
them as-
expect us to get
right.
the money back.
Right, if
I
he's
really do.
designating them, we have to trust the commissioners. If they're designating these two bridges as the primary bridges, then I don't see how we can look at this and say, no. After prom, no after prom, this is critical. That
I'm
they've
just talking
waited
about I'm
long
just talking about
enough.
the details we got for these other
Oh,
things.
you're right, the devil's in the details. That, you're correct.
Planning, I mean, that's what we're here for, financial planning for the
Right.
county, financial planning.
But this is,
So we find out the day of the meeting, coming in, we're gonna vote for $1 million just on what?
I think the comments that have been made by the commissioner and the commissioners in regards to this are, they've done everything since the flood to be in touch with state officials and working with them to try to get this. We are at a point now, from what I'm hearing, we have to start making movement on this. It's not like all of us didn't know this was coming. They
Well,
updated us.
We just hope the money would arrive.
We
so
sure
we can
did.
get it
We
going,
did.
And it hasn't.
And again,
Yeah,
we've got a bigger issue with not just what's here today, what's been promised, the people that were here from the state that told us, give us a call for whatever you need. We need them back in the game. We need them back in the game. But that doesn't forgive us for not taking care of it now or addressing it now.
And I want to point out, I want to commend the commissioners, for all the work they've done. I mean, everybody that's pitched in, and I mean, it's been going on for months, obviously. So there's no gripe there. Trying to get money out of the state, out of FEMA, something. Yeah, the part that bothers me is not one entity or council or board has promised us a dime. And so to me, this falls under, the 10-year bridge plan and the 5-year road plan. I mean, now we got to integrate this in and pay for it ourselves. And that's where I'm looking at it in the plan, because I don't expect any money back. If we do, great. But no one's written anything says we get a dime. So that's where I'm just trying to mesh it in and plan with our other projects.
No, and I mean,
That's where I'm at with it. And to me, so there's no plan with just giving $1 million. I can't do it.
Plan for the flood either.
Yeah, and then you didn't plan for that. We gave a million, we gave $1.5 million one time to make a settlement with Belterra out of our savings fund.
Yeah, I've never
We
seen
spent
that one.
$1.5 million.
I'm not
Just-
sure if anything would have changed throughout this entire process. It might not, but I really think we need to reconsider our emergency management director.
yeah, I'm not
I
sure how
don't
much
think he's helping.
impact that would have.
Freaking bit.
Yeah, I don't think that would have any impact in dealing with either of the two government agencies, both federal and state.
I just had my fill of complaints about it. I'm just over it.
I think
And I understand
somebody
that.
at the state level has dropped the ball. I mean, FEMA definitely did, and someone at the state level has dropped the ball. And I've kind of been involved a little bit with this, so, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody about it. But, I knew how much money there was needed for this. And I've contacted people at the state level for this to ask who's dropping the ball, why is this not happening? You get back you get promises back. I know there's gonna be money coming back. Just how much, I don't know. They just need $1 million to get something fixed so those roads can be opened now.
Exactly.
I can't say I'm positive, but I'm not worried about, and I'm tight as far as spending money, but I think that the $1 million is coming right back to us. Or I wouldn't.
I think some portion of it will. I wouldn't hold my breath on getting all
Well,
of
if I
it.
get $800,000 back and we get through this flood, $200,000, I don't think that that's too bad.
But I think there should be a phone call from the tech building all day, every day, out of that office,
Until
something is done.
That is my plan. I'm
And
past.
I don't disagree with that.
Send a phone call, put him up there.
One of those.
I have no problem doing that, but I also would tell you that I'm not so sure that the more you poke the bear, the more the bear's not gonna just delay. I'm sorry, Mike, what did you
I was
say?
just gonna say, 25 years ago, that one bridge was out for, I'm gonna say a couple of years. And
Smith
it's
Ridge.
inconvenience to the county. And I'm all for giving them the money to get the bridges rebuilt.
I remember when it was out, you saw.
Parks Ridge is a really big deal.
I can't remember if it's Parks Ridge or.
Smiths.
Was it
Smith
Smiths?
Ridge,
Yeah,
It
but
was
the
out.
Because
Parks
they put in
Ridge
a
is
brand new
out.
one in like,
That's the big
got
one.
washed out.
wasn't even a year and it
Yeah.
They both
3 months it washed out.
Out at the wooden one.
It was Woodland. Yep.
How much do you think the drawings, the engineering will be up front?
I think the engineering is gonna be somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000. And I'm going off the estimates, the handwritten estimates that we got in the very initial days after the flood.
And that's for everything or?
That's for those two major structures.
You been out by there?
The other thing I would tell you, and I have no idea if these numbers are accurate, but again, in initial days after the flood, IDHS was saying if we qualify for FEMA, you're gonna get 75% reimbursement, but some of that work can be considered as payment in kind. Never got a clear definition of what that meant. I know how I interpreted it, but it meant to me that the 75% would cover the entire cost. They did say early on that if it goes to the state level, 50% is probably what you'll get. But that's the numbers that I got back in September. And if it's that cut and dried, you would have thought I'd already had answers, so it obviously isn't that cut and dried.
I just think somebody forgot about it.
I don't think they forgot. I've called way too many times for them to forget.
Whoever's answering the phones, not passing it on.
Well, I mean, it's been phone calls, emails. I don't think they forgot. And I'm not going, well, that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, we could do an approach where we go ahead and allocate money for the drawings. We get numbers in on Smith's Ridge, we go ahead and attack that, we get money on quotes on Parks Ridge, and just pay as we go. But we can't,
It's gonna be pay as we go anyway. She's gonna be paying it out of an emergency fund. If it doesn't take all of it, it doesn't take all of it.
I mean, in the meantime, we might find out if we actually are getting reimbursed too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
giving them more time.
So you might not even be taking anything out of it, but the engineer fee. You're right. We might find out before anything's even taken out of it.
A lot of mites.
A lot of mics. But the absolutes is we have 2 bridges out.
I agree with that.
And if you're negotiating with just one bridge and the same company, if what you want to do, you're going to list both bridges.
We'll ask them to quote the 2 packages, yeah.
That's together or separate?
We'll probably have to break it out separate, but, we could have them quote both, but again, it delays, completion if you got the same contractor doing both. Assuming that it's a local contractor, because obviously they're just not big enough to do them both
Maybe you can find a buy one, get
at
one.
the same time. BOGO.
Those bridges.
Your thought, Lance, is when, hey,
To your
as
point,
they need
Matt,
it,
I'll give you an example. We just did the community crossings asphalt. I think it was 5 roads, actually, 5. We did them all individually, and I question why we didn't lump them all into a single package. And after I called the contractor that got the award, he said he only had $3,500 in there for additional for equipment moving equipment, because we quoted them individually as opposed to collectively.
That's what I was thinking.
So it was saved us $3,500 if we'd lumped them.
So that's where I was, if you get all your equipment up to the same guy, well, he's not gonna charge us 4 separate jobs. I mean, there are ways for us to be thinking about how to save money here.
I'm just,
And we can have them quote them both ways. We can have them quote them individually, as well as combined, and, nothing keeps us from doing that. And then if we've got, Joe over here and Jeff over here, and Jeff's cheaper on one, Joe's cheaper on the other one, but collectively they're both higher, then we can award them individually, or if one's cheaper on both than the other one, then we can award them that way as well. So, I have absolutely no problem doing it both ways.
Anybody else?
all right. Any more discussion on this? Okay, motion is on the floor by Lisa to give the commissioners $1 million for the road repairs out of emergency funds. Second by Matt. All those in favor, raise your hands. Those opposed? I'd be seeing that it was 6-1 in favor.
Thanks, I appreciate it. As soon as I know something, I'll come back and give you an update.
They just took voting on making.
I'll send you out an email as soon as I know something.
Yeah, please keep us informed. Yeah,
But,
please do.
and again, I'm hoping that by the time we get the engineering work done, that the state's already allocated X amount of money. And I do know that one thing they did say, which should benefit us as a county, that the way they've got it set up is whatever they pay us, they're gonna do a pay as we go instead of waiting until everything's done. Which I guess typically they wait till it's over and then make you a lump sum payment, so that'll help.
So Gail won't be moving $1 million out of the emergency funds. She'll be
Be
paying
paying
your
out of it.
bills out of it as they occur for these bridges.
She just keeps.
So we'll just have to make sure that
So it actually stays in.
Carla
until we're
knows to
using it.
keep
Yeah.
flood related separate, but it'll just be related
It'll be
to
just the two bridges.
2 or 3 structures anyway.
Keep us informed of what's going on.
It may be in there, but we can't spend it. Just so you know,
What?
$1 million.
Oh, yeah,
We can't touch that.
no,
We've just appropriated.
we just did.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Just like there's appropriations in there for the health insurance. But we have to remember that. You look at that number, you think, oh, you got this money in
Right.
there. Well, you really don't have that money in there because part of that's already appropriated out. We have to take, Gail and I were talking about this, through the month, that you have to, she needs $600,000 every quarter to go into the health insurance policies. Because you have to have that much money to run that. So, and that's in that fund too, so it's taken out. So I understand that.
All right, let's move along. Let's, next on topic, next on agenda is the Riverwalk revenue/sharing percentages that we need to approve and possible caps, so. And we should all have a copy of that. Here, I believe, of last year's percentages. I think Gail, Rel sent us what it would be based off $6 million cap, what these entities would get.
So the payout on the right is with the cap.
With the cap, $6 million cap, yeah, which is what we did last year.
Okay.
Floor is open for discussion.
It's this one.
Yeah, it's up.
Um,
What changes is on another one there, I believe. We don't have copies of it.
This is what's coming in so far.
Yeah,
This one.
yeah, this is what came in, and we actually did, yeah, you paid out.
I paid out in January, the
January.
percentages, yes.
Based off these changes, this is what we adopted last year. I think in February, I'm not certain. So we run a little month behind. I mean, I also think we, should probably keep the cap stuff the same. If somebody sees something different, or the percentages, I do believe we should cap it at 6, based on what we heard from John, today.
Should we do that and then maybe revisit again to make the school whole and town whole
Yes.
like we did last time?
In
Is
fact,
that
that's,
what your thought?
yes, that's my thing. I mean, because in fact, that's what we did have,
Yeah.
Jumped the gun a little bit. We did have a fire chiefs meeting, last Thursday.
Okay,
And, that was one thing he was asking me about the
okay,
percentages. And I told him, guys, I think you're going to stay back to 3.75, but I plan to ask for a cap, or that's what I was going to go for. So they're aware. I told Jeff, if you think you need more money or something at that point, we're doing well. Come in October to November and we'll address it just like we did with the Galvin and all that. So, and I think that's,
what do you think?
I'll say.
I think it's a fair thing to do.
Are we required, we have to give this distribution up?
We don't have to do any of it, no.
Okay, so we don't have to. Total distributions receipts that we're gonna pass out is 915, is that right?
Well, that's how much they did.
That's what they did.
We did that already. It's 1.7. Wait a minute, let me look. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Well, the one out to the right, she don't have that total at the bottom of that, how much we actually give away when everybody's capped out. Like the total over here on the right is, that's how much they can get percentage wise, like you give them a percentage if the money's there. The money isn't there, they don't get a percentage of it. I mean, you can vote to give them a percentage of the money there, but if the distribution that comes in doesn't have that, then, a percentage of a little is a little. So the percentage. And they get maxed out at that number on the right. So you'll never give the emergency response more than $300,000 out of it, in other words. And that's guesstimating that we get $6 million. If we don't get $6 million, then obviously they're going to have less than that. It'll be less than that, but they'll never get more than that, but they could have less than that. Of course, the fire chiefs and the school are the highest percentages, and they are the same.
3.75, if I'm not mistaken.
And remember when, like when Brian come in and was talking about his casino revenue money, that we give him 5.31%, the sheriff's department out of that. And, that's what he was gonna hire a deputy and pay for it out of his casino revenue funds. Of course, if that changes, then what he does with it will have to change too.
Maybe a crazy idea. I'll just throw it out there. So we're talking about $1 million in our pre-conversation. Is it feasible that we could pull back that $1 million off of this and just pay out what's left? Supply it to this group, or is that gonna harm too many people?
We didn't pull $2 million
We've already pulled $2 million off that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, pull it down.
I know,
I'm just,
you're
I'm
thinking-
trying to
thinking
figure out how to
Yeah,
We've
cover
done,
us on
we've
one.
done 600,000 the last 2 years, but the year before that, we released it all.
Yeah.
And last year we didn't. We only did to the 3 entities.
Levy, Patriot, and, just going down.
Yeah, and when you look at, when you get out of those big percentages, Matt, when you look at those, it's really isn't that much.
Yeah, it is.
So it's
Because the pie isn't that big for them.
it's not a make it or break it really for us or for them. It makes a big difference to them because they're small entities. It makes a big difference to them.
Yeah.
But for us, it isn't that bad. Like the 4-H, for instance, that's a big, that'd be a huge hit for them
Right.
if something happens to that.
Right.
Because that's a big deal. And the towns, it's huge for them. I think maybe some of the townships are doing very well, and some of them have to have the revenue. So, but when you really add it up, it isn't that much.
Yeah.
And they don't get it at all if we don't get it. So the way that it's structured is really pretty safe for us. Because we don't get it, they don't get it. And if we get a few months into the year and the bottom drops out, we can change it.
At any time.
Yeah, we actually went in the year of the COVID and we had done percentages to give all the money away. And we went in April when they shut everything down and we stopped. We didn't give out any more money the rest of the year. Percentages did not go out at all.
No, I mean, maybe that's that thought moving forward that, this year we bless it as it is, what these numbers are, but keeping in mind, to Lance's point, there's no guarantee that we're gonna get the state to help us out to what percentage, so forewarn everybody now, we may have to make cuts in certain areas. Make sure they're aware of it.
We stay fortunate, they stay fortunate.
Yes.
Well, I'd probably volunteer part of our percentage to, let's say, the commissioners right there,
Yeah.
to go towards, you know what I mean, like bump that 10% up. Cause they got obviously some big issues, you bump that up and there's some additional funding. It doesn't affect everybody else. That's kind of what I was getting at before.
Good.
We're getting 57 or 52.
I mean, I don't want, I agree with you, so I don't want to harm,
I don't want
I don't want to harm anything about it, but that is a big deal that we just passed out.
We're gonna get it all back. We're gonna get it all back. And
Glass half full.
we're gonna get it all back. This
If we
is,
don't, I say we revisit this.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm,
it's a
at
loan.
least let make sure they're aware that we may have to do this thing.
That's right. That's right. If we go another 3 or 4 months down the road or even maybe sooner than that, and the state says we're not gonna give you anything, then we might have to revisit it.
I think we have to.
There's a lot of people here involved too. They could all call too.
There you go.
I've been asking people to call, both IDHS and Homeland Security.
I mean, we're the one paying on the 2 million. I feel like we could give up some of that before I ask any of these other entities to give up any. I don't think we're at that point.
But because we hung on that 2 million, that's why we had $1 million to give the commissioners for those bridges.
But it wasn't 2 million, right, John? It was.
It really wasn't, it was
No, then-
less than that. It just still irks me that everybody else, all these other entities, all the other counties and all the state, everybody gets their money first. Frustrating. I'll make a motion that we leave the percentages the same and then revisit, making some of them whole like we did last year, like the school endowment.
So you're,
I would say leave the percentages the same, and with 6 million,
just like that, so,
yes.
I'll second that.
well, motion's on the table. Lisa. Keep the riverboat revenue sharing percentages the same. $6 million cap, that we can revisit these entities in a year. Eddie, you second that motion? Yep. Okay. Is there any more discussion on this topic? Sound quick water. All in favor of Lisa's motion on revenue sharing and cap? Aye. Those opposed? That's unanimous.
We get 6 million and the other million, we're only up to 7 million in that guy.
Is that all?
Me and my scribble, I hope I can read that. I swear. Digging in my pocket. Just 1 minute, 1 minute.
Do we have a sheet of all the people asking for money again?
The only one we're addressing tonight is the after prom because of the date of when the prom is. The prom is what, April, and we would have like a meeting the
22nd.
week before. I've actually wanted to hear what John had to say and all that, and we'll address the rest of the,
And then the rest of them, like all those.
all those next month, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll attack them next month.
okay.
That's got my game on it, so. Okay, so the after prom is on the up for discussion right now.
Have an amount on it? What they were
No.
asking for? That's what I thought.
I think we
So
used to
last year you gave 2,000.
What, somewhere, I saw, we gave 1,000 somewhere, some document, I saw it somewhere.
What did we used to give? Do you remember what that number was? Remember it was a nightmare.
Oh, back.
Yeah.
when- Yeah. They're like 10,000.
Yeah, that's big, astronomical.
Yeah, in 2021, I've got 2021's list over here, it was 2,000, and I think we left it the same.
Yeah.
And we took that money out of the, money that was coming from the community foundation.
What I had.
And this year, because of the way stocks are, we'll talk about why, but the stock market, there is no money in that fund, that quality of life, is that what that was called? Remember the
Yes.
quality of life fund? So the entities that were home, do you remember that? We did, like historic DD, boxing, DD Main Street, Historical Society, and the after prom out of that, fund. So that fund's not gonna get any money this year. So that fund's doesn't exist, the quality of life thing. So it'll have to come out of council's money.
But after prom is a good thing, I've never been to it, I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I mean,
I think it's great.
I have no issue with
It's
us.
a really safe thing for all kids.
Yep. Matching what we did last year, but
Several years, or was it just? It
It was for 2 years,
was 2,000.
yeah, and they requested that. There was 1 year we only gave them 1,000, well, we were here.
I think I remember that 1,000.
I remember
Been a year.
In 2020, it was 1,000. In 2019, it was 1,000.
Then they did.
2018, it was 1,000.
and we were dealing with it, we
We
were
gave
dealing
it to
with
because
the
there was a
beginning of
problem the
COVID
year before.
at that point in time.
So we approved that, but we never paid that in 2020, right?
No, we did not.
Right.
They didn't have a problem either.
Right, that was the basis of that. We didn't know what our issues were
Yeah,
gonna be.
and then we gave them double because we didn't give them the money the year before.
Yeah.
Like Wine Festival.
Yeah.
And so with,
We helped them get going again. We did the same thing to Wine Festival because we withheld the money back.
I want to make, because I know we're going to deal with this next month, but I want to plant the seed in your folks' head. So this lifetime resources that came in last month. I went back and looked at this group. And I think we better watch for all of this, not just picking on this group, but all entities outside of Switzerland County. Prom is inside of Switzerland County. I think it needs to be dealt with. That's our money. It's for the kids. I think it's a good thing. but Lifetime Resources, when they came in, they were directing us for, I believe, $15,000. So here's, since they've left, this is what I found out about them. They not only go to us for 15,000, they go to our community foundations for money. They hit every one of our trustees for money. They even go to our churches for money. So at the end of the day, how much are they pulling from the taxpayers of Switzerland County? For what amount of service to Switzerland County? But we don't ask those questions. And I think that needs to be the protocol from now on.
To ask them where
When
else.
they come in, how much are you collecting total from Switzerland County? Because that wasn't shared with us. That was off, out of this meeting and going and starting to look. And they do the same thing up in Jefferson County. So it's one thing to say 15 here. I believe they went to commissioners. Jamie, did they go to you?
I can't remember for sure. I don't know if they came to the commissioners or came to one of the other boards I sat on. I can't remember.
For every one of our trustees to participate, for the charitable organizations in town to participate, for the churches to participate, what was the total dollar amount hauled out of here just by one organization? Not the other 7 that are gonna come to us.
Hard house.
Not good. I know, I agree with you. I like to know
Something
that.
to think about.
It is. It's,
I don't think we should.
there's a lot of fundraising going on.
No, I'm not questioning the 15,000 at this meeting. I'm just, as I said, I want to make sure you
Just the
folks
thought.
understand
Yeah.
that seat needs to be, there's questions that we haven't asked that we need to start asking.
Good point.
That's a good point.
So to the two, I would make a motion for after prom for $2,000.
I'll second.
So Matt, you made a motion to give
2,000.
after prom, $2,000 from our funds, rental funds, I guess. Todd, you second? So any more discussion on that topic?
And that's to come out of council's money.
Council money, yeah, county council money.
That helps Gail to
Yeah.
know that where it comes from.
During no discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous.
Do that.
Sorry, this is fun meeting.
Yeah, we needed that. So. Okay,
Ain't done yet. Jeff's up.
Jeff's up. Jeff, and I'm not even, you come up there and do your, I'll mess your last name up.
Jeff Fiji, yeah,
Fiji, huh?
Fiji.
Fiji.
Don't call you Jeff.
Hey, that's better. That's fine with me. I'm sure everybody got the email with the grant that I sent, submitted to everybody. So anyways, we are just requesting an appropriation or an authorization to spend local funds associated with the opioid settlement that Switzerland County has received. Switzerland County received approximately $88,000 for 2022, 2023. And that grant gives us an opportunity to at least match that 1-for-1. However, we are asking for the state for an additional, I think the total amount is $300 and some odd thousand. So we're trying to at least put a good faith effort locally with the $88,000 in hopes of getting $300 and some odd thousand from the state. Opioid settlement money was given to us, and it can only be authorized for certain, it can only be authorized for like recovery, substance abuse. It's very, very restricted. So we're just asking to dispense those funds in hopes that we receive $300 some odd thousand from the state.
So you're not asking for money, you're asking to dispense the money you've already got? Or are you asking a
Where else?
match?
Yeah, where is that $88,000 at right now?
It's, well, they've received the 2022 deposits,
We haven't received anything for 23 yet.
They're not.
but the grant application allows us to at least match 2022, 2023 amounts. There is-
We got 88,000 from 22.
No, 88,000 includes 23's
Yeah.
amount.
What's what we're projected with what we're supposed to get.
Yeah.
I can't give you an exact balance. I didn't get it before I left. In that account.
for the 22.
Well, for the, what's 22 the first year we got?
Yeah, 22 is the first year we got it.
So what's?
We roughly received 22,395 in unrestricted and about 52,255 in restricted funds. 2023, it's like a 16-year settlement. Next year, this year's deposits would roughly unrestricted is about 4,000, restricted is about 9,300.
What was that good towards?
The restricted funds are, there's 15 pages of stuff that you can use it for, but it's mainly geared towards recovery after a substitute. That right there, that all long-winded. There's a number of different,
It's like helping people get in recovery.
you name it, yeah. Trainings for officers to deal with individuals that are under substance abuse. I mean, anything revolved around
Was
treatment.
you opening up a facility or something?
Our thought is we would like to renovate the garage at the tech center.
Think the 4-H ground would like that close to it.
I mean, we already have our probation office, and we had our probation office down there briefly.
Why don't you lease that health department down there where the dentist was at?
There's always that option too.
That's empty, right?
That's something else.
But the tech center, the idea of the tech center,
We're trying to get another dentist in there.
yeah, the idea of the tech center is a kind of collaboration of resources. The GED programs in there. We also hold NA meetings in there. We have Bree with counseling upstairs.
Have you secured the space?
We have not. We've just received authorization to proceed with the grant. So no, we have not. We've mentioned the space previously, and we received some bids on that, and it was roughly approximately about $90,000, and so nobody had $90,000 to spend on that. So we were going to seek other resources, and this resource kind of fell on our lap, and that would allow us to renovate that building at essentially and hire support staff and recovery coaches, and kind of fit needs on both sides.
So part of this grant money would go to hire support staff.
Hire an administrative position staff.
Okay, would that be someone that would be then on the county's payroll in the general fund?
No, this grant's actually for a 2-year grant. If the county would choose to support that administrative staff after the 2 years, then yes, it could potentially be. But if not, then that position goes away.
Okay,
So the whole department would go away.
No, the whole department does not go away.
just the staff.
Just the staff, just the administrative position staff.
Because if the grant's paying for the staff now to start out with, and what happens, how do you pay for them after the grants are on? That's what I was thinking.
And my idea on additional staff is I know Judge Coy asked for additional staff too, and this would kind of fit in with that too and allow us to plan a few years out.
Jeff, let me ask you this. I sat on the phone for about an hour and a half with the Department of Human Services, which is the settlement option. They're the ones that came up with the settlement opioid agreement. And you're asking for 88,000. And that's for the 2 years, folks. That's all of the funds, restricted and non-restricted.
Correct.
Right? So underneath the restricted, there are departments within the county that Human Services says you should talk to because they have a right to those funds. And so those organizations would be the Department of Health, the Sheriff Department, Switzerland County Emergency Services, the ambulance, the Prosecutor's Office, the Probation Office. I believe there's another one that's just missing it right now. If we give you the 88,000 without talking to them, I don't know if you've talked to them. I did see that you had letters from the sheriff and from the prosecutor's office and from Phoebe, and I'll come to that next. But I don't think it's prudent for us to give you the 88,000 without talking to these other departments. And I know who the last one is. The last one's the schools. Because the schools are a part of that if they want to have a prevention. So what we're saying to them is, sorry, guys, for 2 years, we're wiping it out and we're giving it all to probation. You don't get any claim to it. But we haven't asked them if they want any of the money.
Do they even know that it's there?
Exactly. How many of not to put this, but how many of us even know what the opioid settlement is at this table? We don't. What are other counties doing? Other counties are building a committee, an opioid committee, to bring those departments together to talk about what they may need down the road using these funds. And I think that's a good idea. That's where the Services was saying, it's probably your best intent to be inclusive of the departments that have the authority to look at this from the restricted accounts. Now, the unrestricted accounts, you can use that money for just about anything you want.
Who can use the money for anything?
County can offer that money up to anybody they want. We can go to the nonprofits that come in next month. And as long as they have prevention care for drugs, we could throw that money at them next month. We could authorize that. It has to be managed and reported through the auditor's office. We have to do that by October of every year. A report has to be sent back to them showing how we spent it. So with that said, I don't see how tonight, and I think it's a great program, but I have to be mindful of everybody out there. And I know, we have a prosecutor sitting out here today. I don't know if he realized he had access to the funds, because I'm not sure how many people have really read the opioid settlement.
I mean, I completely understand your point. This grant is a one-time opportunity to at least double those funds.
But it all goes to you.
It all goes to organizations that we serve too. We actually work with the schools. We work with Community Mental Health Center. We work with recovery coaches from One Voice. We hit a lot of these entities.
But see, the difference is, Jeff, you control the funds when we give it to you, not the county. The county doesn't get the money back because you wrote the grant for probation. You receive the money. So then you become in charge of all the funds. That's not the intent of the opioid settlement. It is not the intent. It is moved to the county for the county to receive that. Now, with that said, did you go to VB or Patriot that are also going to receive funds by town? And did you ask them to participate in your program?
We asked Vivi.
Did you get any money?
No. Well, I didn't ask for any money. They just made them aware of those funds that they had.
Don't you think that it would be appropriate for VB to pony up some dollars here too?
The amounts that they were only at was only about 11. Well, actually, the restricted funds of 8,000.
I agree. I mean, we're going to get the largest amount, but
Yeah.
I think if VB and Patriot are going to get amounts, their residents are part of this. It shouldn't just fall on the entire county. It is the opioid settlement fund. They should pony up a little bit of this cash for your program.
And to your point about me controlling the funds is dictated by what we have in the grant.
Right. But
And
if
that's
we
how we
release
use
all
it.
88,000 to you, you get the full grant. You get the 88 and the grant money. And I know you just said, but we work with them. Yes, I don't doubt that you don't work with them. But you become in charge of those fund monies, not the county anymore. And so if the superintendent of school came and said, I'd love to have a program for the kids on prevention of drugs, well, we could say to them, yeah, you can do that 3 years from now.
We already offer that to the schools.
Okay, I understand, but again, the approach, how these monies are set up are for the county to decide. So you get to the point of, you have a number of people that you're in here for, and you're saying that you have 4 different positions, correct?
Yes, 3 of those would be recovery positions and 1 is an administrative staff.
So the administrative assistant that you're positioning here, that one's for $52,000. Is that really called an executive administrative assistant?
That included benefits. It was a 38,000 position plus around $14,000 in benefits.
So the benefits are in that 52?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because on the sheet here, it says the benefits below that, but there's no dollars in there. So you can add the benefits to the salary, is that what you're saying?
That's how the grant was submitted, yes.
Okay, so we're talking 52,000, but that position you want to keep.
We would like to keep, yes.
So that's an ongoing cost to the county, because we would own that.
Yes.
And then we have the judge or the court, I'll just go with the court. Now we have the court that announced yesterday that within the first 5 working days of the year, they wanted a new position. But then yesterday, the court sent the note that we're going to postpone that. Well, postpone doesn't say withdraw. So if we agree to give you this position for 52, then the court could come back and reapply for that same position that they wanted after we grant you the money. Now we're paying for two positions.
No, this position will incorporate the judge's office as well.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
You're going on record as saying, we're not going to hear from the court on this position.
I can't go on record and say
Well,
I can't
then they
speak for the
can't say
judge.
that. Then you
But
can't
that's
say
the
that.
idea of this, was to support staff. The main reason the support staff was for the probation department and to cover Judge Coy when has a personnel on leave or who knows
He
what.
basically found a way to do it through a grant process for 2 years.
Yeah.
When's the
For 2
due?
years.
When's the due by?
The grant has already been submitted. Yeah. There's no guarantee. It's a competitive grant. There's no guarantee we're going to get it. But the opportunity presented itself to, again, essentially double
So
our
you
money
went for it.
and serve a lot of purpose for Switzerland County and are underserved in Switzerland County.
And if you get it, then this will be, everything will be covered for 2 years, right?
Yes.
And then after that, then we would be left with the decision whether it stayed or whether it didn't, because
Mhm.
only council can decide if there's a salary for
And that
something.
is solely the administrative staff position.
Yeah.
That is it.
That
It
is
allows
correct.
us to establish a support community, a recovery community in Switzerland County that we have not had.
It's not a requirement from the state either to have this kind of department. It's not, right?
No.
It's just part of your grant.
That was, sort of the intent of the grant you see in those 15 pages. So,
Right.
yeah.
Again, I think you got a great idea. I just think it would be less imprudent for us not to ask all the other entities that have the ability to share in the restricted funds and give you it without hearing from them. And I didn't know that until 4 days ago of how the settlement operates and what it works. And I would encourage all of you, before you vote on this, take the time to read this, because there are a lot of rules in this.
You've already submitted the grant, right?
Grant's
And
been-
you'll know when.
Roughly around May. And they operate in a fiscal year, so July.
What's our 88,000 gonna do if the grant gets denied? I mean,
Reverts back to your funds.
I think we need to revisit in May, see if the grant's.
I go with that.
Visit me.
Hey,
Where's it gonna come from? Does anybody have any idea?
I thought the funding's already there.
Yeah.
it is. It's already been, it's in the,
It's already there, you're just allocating to be able to use it for that purpose.
Yeah.
They're asking permission to allocate their own money?
They're asking permission to allocate the $88,000 that's in the opioid settlement that they have right now.
Gotcha,
in both the restricted and unrestricted funds for
Correct,
2 years.
gotcha.
What if we gave them just a portion of that, knowing that it should also be available to other entities? We gave them a portion of it and then covered the rest ourselves, so they can go after this grant. I feel like they got a pretty good plan, drug prevention. I feel like we ought to be on board with this.
How much
I'm
was
not
it?
saying we shouldn't be on
Yeah.
board with it. All I'm
That
questioning
lets
is,
them,
I don't, what percentage do you give? And then we hear from the sheriff, because part of this is protective gear for the
Yeah.
deputies when they walk in a meth lab.
right,
Or the schools, or the same deal with SEO. So what, if we give out a percentage tonight, how do we know we didn't give out too big of a percentage when the sheriff walks in here, or the prosecutor says,
How much
hey, I
is
want to
it-
use this
How
for
much is in the
X.
restricted, you said?
The restricted funds for Switzerland County for 2022 is 52,255.19. Yeah, it's on that sheet.
Okay, and then, so then the other part is what, 20?
Yeah, that's the breakdown.
Wait till April.
That's
And this is also for making officers, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that goes on.
Okay.
I remember the discussion. I was here at that meeting. I think that was what, 2 months ago or something like that?
Yeah, our probation department, our juvenile probation officer doesn't have an office. She's in with the judge's staff.
Yeah. I mean,
So there's confidentiality
Want to show up
issues.
and discuss it? Then that's fine, yeah.
You got 3, how many people you got working with you yourself?
Just him and his-
Family?
Me and Natalie,
It's just-
that's it.
Just you two.
No support staff. And we have a recovery specialist position that is solely paid for by grants through One Voice, who also helped submit this grant.
And you're wanting to build these offices down in that garage, right? Which I didn't know there was a garage down there. Okay, I just.
It's kind of a,
Sure.
Jim, to that point, and I think I brought this up in the commission's meeting the other night.
Jamie, can you step up?
Yeah, please.
Please.
The quotes originally got were basically on a hand-drawn concept Yeah. So that 90,000 number that you got wasn't, we need to hire an architect, get it designed, and then get real quotes so that we know, is it really 90, is it 80, is it 120 before the commissioners can really even make it.
When do you think you could get those?
We don't have any plans of
Yeah, I get
hiring
it.
an architect.
I mean, there is-
So we don't know if there's gonna be, if it's an additional cost, other than the 90 you put in there, from what Jamie just said.
We have some quotes, and that $90,000 came from the quotes, but again, they were.
Yeah, it was just a hand sketch. I mean, there's no, it's not an actual architect drawing
This is a shed.
that
The garage.
could have been, that should have been submitted for a quote. Because we was just asked to try to get some quick rough numbers, and that's what we did. But there's not been any study on, where's the electrical, where's the sewer and the water lines, to what extent does it require digging up the floor in the garage or do all that plumbing and all that. So
What was the reason we didn't shove the EMR in there? Do you remember? There was a reason we didn't get to move the EMR in there when we talked about it.
and I'm not standing here saying it's not something that
I don't know
won't
what-
get done. I'm just saying that be careful using that number because I don't know.
Just build it.
The accuracy of it is probably not very high.
I thought the quotes we had that included the cutting the floor, the running. of
I don't think so because nobody knew where it was even at, whether it was required. Well, that's my
I
understanding.
think one of the quotes that was withdrawn, it was included all that. He just couldn't get with the, I don't know if it was the sprinkler system. Yeah, so.
That's what.
Well, that's saying.
Can we table this
For a grant.
until the grant's approved and then that's what we were just talking
Yeah.
about? Is that a problem at all?
Well, we
Let's go
won't
ahead and
know
give him a pizza.
May, you won't know until about grant to May.
Potentially May, I don't know exactly the day, we don't know.
But I think, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it gives the other entities an opportunity to come to us,
Exactly.
speak their piece about the restricted funds and.
Can you reach out to them on your plan?
On the other entities?
that can get restricted funds. Lance and I were kind of side talking over here a little bit. Here's the thought. If you were walking in here asking me for $88,000 because you can get $300,000, I wouldn't have to think 3 seconds on whether I did that or not. So Lance's idea of, can we just give him part of the money and leave those restricted funds there for those other entities to be able to possibly use it? But he would still have the money that he needs for the grant.
The full 88.
Well, no,
Grant
no,
states-
We would just give him a portion of it.
the restricted
And then
part, that
council
the
will
other
pick up the
people
rest.
can get their hands on, you know what I mean? The $52,000 that the other entities can actually use part of the restricted funds, the other ones that don't even know that they can.
How do we come up with the portion and the remaining that we're gonna pay for?
It's whatever you think. That's why we're sitting.
but that's the question right there. Your 88, your grant money that you put in for this grant states 88,000, does it not? Can't do it like that, Lance.
What's that?
Can't,
Say
you
it
gotta
again.
come up with 88,000.
Well,
It's not based off.
well, he's
of
wanting
what
us
we
to
have.
give him the
I know
$88,000 that's in that
I got
thing. And we could give him $88,000. It doesn't all have to come out of that. It doesn't have to come out of.
Give him 18 out of the opioid, and we give him 70 out of council. He's off and running.
We agreed to give the 70. We got other, as the night has progressed, Mr. $7.7 million.
Where we at?
Dollars over here.
I think that. I think he
88
needs to
too.
have-
What do you think, Andy? Where we up to?
7 million.
I think it's something that we can spend any way we want to, but put towards it.
And I'm not sure how this would, if this would affect
And we need to add
anything with your funding if we utilize that space.
Yeah, 122.
Well, I mean, it just depends, I mean, the Ready project, for example, we redid because as office space was, it was originally a co-work project to redo the building for co-working opportunities, but once office space started getting leased out in the building, we didn't have space for co-working, so we reconfigured it into other things. So, yeah, I mean, we chase grants based on available space and what we can do with it. So, depending on what we have, that's what we're gonna go after. So I mean, yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. It just depends on what, we're gonna run with what we've got to work with.
I'm not interpreting your question different. The equipment that he's gonna be bringing in,
It's coming.
part of it will have to go in the garage, but I don't think.
Yeah, we don't need that. Yeah, we don't need.
Yeah.
Of what you're
Yeah.
asking to do.
Yeah.
We had the conversation.
Yeah, there's some of it that's.
Well,
Needs
I
high
just,
ceiling,
but we don't have to specify that, do we? Because he's gonna get, when you get your, how much is it for? 300 and,
If he gets it.
Yeah, if we get it,
if
yeah,
you get it.
if we get it,
324.
324-1.
But with that, you have restricted and you have a certain set of guidelines with that, what you're allowed to use.
Basically, the grant that I submitted to you guys, it has to be.
I didn't know if we had to specify whether it come out of unrestricted or restricted, I guess is what I was getting at.
No,
I don't know that matters.
no, it can come out of the opioid settlement, there's, the American Rescue Plan, local general funds, private contributions. I mean, it could be a number of different funds it could come out of. But generally, this would give us the opportunity, it was an opioid settlement, so most counties were matching funds with opioid settlements.
So if you want to call it tonight and just give up 88,000 out of the ARPA fund, you can do that.
And leave those funds there for the other entities that can use it.
He's absolutely right.
But-
You
but
can do
it-
that. You can go to a non-charitable and ask them for the 88,000 and it would qualify. They said, folks,
But if you-
there's a lot of rules behind this.
Yeah.
And when
If you don't get the
Listening to
grant,
them,
you don't need the 88 to.
we
advance
really
it,
should,
so.
we
Can't
really
even
should
use
offer
it.
this to everybody that's
Food.
in line for it.
Yeah,
No, I'm.
this gives us the opportunity to at least submit the grant.
Yeah, yeah. So if he doesn't get the grant, then the 88's not, he doesn't even need it. He can't even use it. So
Unless you
the
come up with some sort of a committee like
But
he's
the
talking
opioid
about.
money is
other-
still there. I'm more in line with what Lance is thinking about him having the money to submit the grant. I'm good with that. But I don't think it needs to, I think that we need to leave the opioid money where it is.
All of it.
No,
If that 88,000 is useless, if they don't get the grant, what's the sense in voting on it now and giving it to them now? Access.
so we can wait till April.
That's what I think, I think Mike's right. We wait till April,
Is it,
we go to the other entities, and tell them you have, if you want
we
any
don't want to
interest
start on
in
any
this,
renovations.
come
we
and see
get
us.
the-
Yeah,
That tables.
Yeah. Because you're not gonna do that till you get it anyway, right?
Yeah, and again, there's no guarantee. This just gives us an opportunity to try for that grant.
I'd also like to find out more information if this guy covers the judge's position too. That would be very useful.
That would be very useful to know.
The letter from the judge specifically said that he was looking for an additional person for the probation department.
Yes.
So.
Does
that
that
would-
person report to you directly?
We technically all report to the judge directly.
Okay, now, I got it.
Should that be a separate proposal? The position? Well, I guess it will be in 2 years.
We'll be in 2 years. Yeah, this gives an opportunity to fund it for the 2
In
years.
2 years, it would be.
Yeah.
In 2 years, then this body would have to decide that.
What do you guys think? I mean, if the grants, if we don't know if they're getting the grant,
I'm actually for table on this.
I'm good with setting on
I'm good with
I mean,
tabling it.
I understand. I think the program's good. Self too. I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
I think you're going to get the solution you're looking for. We just want to see if the grants.
Yeah.
This gives us an option to double, I mean, at least, double that money or,
And where,
Three
where
times
the
the
money
amount.
comes from is gonna decide what those other entities that can get their hands on restricted
Yeah,
funds,
but that gives them
how
a
they
chance to
feel
come
about
in and
it.
speak
You know,
about it.
Next month in April, you could use some of that unrestricted if you want, not to come out of the county's budget. But if one of these nonprofits come in here and they've got any kind of drug prevention, they house at Dearborn, you can use the unrestricted for them and not take it out of ours. You have that ability.
Art house is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I mean,
and we work with the Heart House too.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these entities, Matt's, second year on council, third year.
second.
Some of these, I don't know if you remember being in a meeting like where the sheriff says that some of those entities, if he didn't know what he'd do when he went and he has a little kid, he didn't know what he would do if he didn't have Lifetime Resources, or if he didn't have Heart House, or if he didn't know what they would do without those services. So everybody kind of works hand in hand, even though there's a whole lot of different services, y'all work as a team, really.
Yeah.
Lisa, to your point, I mean, if we wanted to, and I know Randy said this a minute ago about those charities, if we wanted to reduce some of their fees, we could use that non-restricted, and maybe you're asking for 7,000, we cut you to 5 out of the county's budget, but we give you 2 out of the restricted, out of the unrestricted. Out of the unrestricted.
Yeah.
So there's way for us to save taxpayer dollars and still be contributing to good organizations. Unless I do it. I mean,
It's to keep kids
I
from
would guess
drinking
if
and
they
drugging
did
after.
a
That's the
presentation
idea
right at
of
the
it.
beginning of it and said, here's why you don't do
They
drugs.
usually do.
I mean, they honestly really do, and that's kind of the whole point of having the
That's the
app.
whole point of
I mean,
it.
it is.
It
It is.
It
You're
is.
right. It is. So
And the unrestricted funds, I mean, you can tell, I mean, it's roughly $106,000 over 16 years. And the restricted funds are 247. Again, that, they may go up a little bit, but that's over, till 2038. But as you can see, the first 2 years was the biggest chunk of that.
So if you get your grant, then we still got to kind of bless for you to get to use all those funds.
Yeah, you still got 14 more years of those funds that you guys would be getting on top of that, so.
these are the 2 biggest years.
Yeah, and that's,
It
the-
goes
and that's
down
the,
significantly.
I think that's why the state decided that they want to submit this grant, because it's an opportunity
Well,
to
I'm just
essentially
glad
double
it-
those funds,
That it's
Yeah.
something,
especially for an underserved community like us. I mean,
yeah.
I think we have a really good shot at getting this grant, because the state doesn't provide us for lady services,
Yeah.
or any at all.
That's awesome.
And this would be a good way to build a foundation for Switzerland County to incorporate all those. I mean, all of those entities, and I'm not denying them. We work closely with every one of them and other entities. We really do. Especially with the schools. We do, Red Ribbon Week for the schools. We do drug prevention school, I mean, we do a lot with the schools.
Jeff, again, I don't doubt that that's what you do. But if the sheriff came over and said, because the law enforcement, the state has got to deal with them through opioid at the same time, that he can get chemical prevention gear if he puts up $10,000. I'm not sure that the sheriff knows enough about the opioid settlement or what the rules are behind it
I'm not sure
for him to do that.
hardly anybody knows anything about it, for being honest.
That's my
I didn't-
concern.
I didn't.
No, that's why we
Give it
brought
to
it
you,
up.
And then they.
And then the state throws its grant on you and gives you a certain amount of time.
But it's all kind of new though.
It is.
really.
It's all brand
It
new.
isn't anything that's been around forever for anybody
No, it
supposed
was
to.
all settled in October when they signed it in November.
And I think that's when we got our season, was like in October, roughly October.
Yeah, and then they give you a short period of time to do it.
One less than a month. Yeah, to get all these organizations to submit it. No, it wasn't. And then, the grant, I mean, I think the grant that Aaron Spalding from One Voice submitted was a great grant application. Had a review through IU. And it really fits a need for Switzerland County. I mean, I'm not, in a disagreement with what me and Matt's saying. I think there does need to be a committee. I think Dearborn County came up with a committee, that you could, petition. But
They said from what they were talking about, that is the most common thing that is happening within the counties, is because there's so much to understand about this.
There
They formed these committees, and most of the committees were formed using those entities to sit down and work out what their needs were.
yeah, and I asked the 88,000, because that was the number there for the 2 years. And just to put a good faith out there to the state, show how committed we are to, our grant plan right there. So, I mean, that was the idea. I wasn't trying to keep it from anybody else.
Yes.
I mean,
Jeff, that wasn't my point.
Yeah,
I just don't believe that we all knew. I sure didn't know. I'll put it on me. I didn't know until I made the phone call.
Yeah.
Until they started passing me paperwork on what the rules were.
yeah.
So I would guarantee you that the other entities don't know
Yeah.
all of this stuff.
Okay,
No.
so we're gonna ask Jeff to reach out to these other entities right here.
I don't think that's Jeff's job. I think it's our job.
Let them know.
We say to Gail, reach out to school, reach out to the sheriff, reach out to prosecutor, probation, reach out to SER, and make sure that they know that these funds are available to them.
They can request
There are
something.
rules. And request if they wanted to use these for anything that they look at.
Was the,
And then we'll know.
And
what
then you
it
see
is
these
they want.
funds too, they roll over.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to use them in a year. So they do roll
Yeah.
over. So they're an ongoing fund.
So if they,
Yeah,
if
We can't
they,
use none of that funding for bridges.
Yeah, unrestricted.
Anything you want.
Gotta get him here.
You just need Jamie to put a sign up, says this bridge was dedicated to people stop using
Drug-free
drugs.
bridge.
Johnson and Johnson.
It's a drug-free bridge, that's right.
Funny.
We're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
Good app.
Well, I mean, it's pretty open what the, it's possible.
Okay,
So who's contacting the other people?
I would,
I make a motion that we table this
Oh.
till April.
well,
We need to.
I think we can table that to April, but to answer Lance's question,
yes.
I would ask Gail to reach out to those specific 6 that are the most common according to Human Services that you utilize. And again, those are school, sheriff, probation, prosecutor, SER, and health.
If they got questions, so set, fire them in there.
They have the ability, and each one of those entities has somebody up at state that they can reach out to understand what they can do with their, with
They should
this
know
money.
this already,
They do.
so
That's the question.
it's not our fault.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, those entities were notified, I mean, from the state.
Yeah.
I mean, it was last year.
Thanks for doing homework.
I mean, we were notified too.
I didn't realize those other.
Didn't realize, I
entities
thought we were waiting on funds and somebody was gonna tell us what we can distribute them. I had no idea that there was a restricted and unrestricted bucket, nor did I understand that this was the rules on restricted versus unrestricted.
Yeah,
I
best thing
just
about
picked
this,
that
but
up
the best thing
in the
about this
last
grant,
5
it gives us
days.
the opportunity to discuss those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it's,
You're ahead of the curve on everybody else, I guess.
and I think, you know, I mean, this is good money for Switzerland County, and it could be utilized very well for Switzerland County. And it's money that's granted to us,
Positive.
and yeah, it's a good positive.
I guess what, so you're saying
We
if
don't get moving on.
after the 2-year deal, if we don't fund this as a county, that whole department goes away,
No, that's a whole department, that position.
Yeah,
does.
one person.
that one
One
position.
position.
Administrative staff. Yeah.
Okay.
And the offices will still be there. We would still be there.
Yeah, you're always gonna have.
So you are literally gonna take probation down to,
Yes, Natalie and I, yeah, it's not too much
We're
to
going
take
to
down.
the shit.
But it's a collaboration of services that again, to utilize the tech center. And that hopefully Ivy Tech comes back in there, but it is, you know, a lot of services that our clients could utilize. So,
All right. Well, we do have motion on the floor right now, table this discussion, this topic until April.
is that a motion or is it just,
It's just
I don't think you just
I'll
table.
vote on
We
it.
don't vote on
No,
it.
I don't- I
We
think
don't
it's
vote
just-
on the table?
No,
I thought we should have.
I thought we always.
I don't-
I thought you vote on a table, but it doesn't need to be a motion to table.
Oh, gosh.
Or what if it fails, what do we do? You can't move on the meeting.
That's right.
I think he can declare it tabled.
I
Yeah.
declare it tabled.
Because no one else made him.
Yeah, you can declare.
All right, it's dead.
Okay, so I'm gonna declare then, table this until April. We'll have you on the agenda again.
I appreciate the discussion. Thank you. guys. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Hey, no, and thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
all the rapid fire and,
Appreciate
you
it.
know, and all the good stuff.
Thanks for
So-
the education.
We're going to ask Gail to send out to those entities.
Yes.
If you would, please, yes. Put more on you, I'm sorry, so, okay. All right, and again, Jeff, thank you, okay, so, my first declared table, that's fun.
You know, you can do anything.
Dang, I didn't know that. All right, guys, so let's move on. I'm gonna move on to board reports. I'm gonna save myself for last. So, because I'm a little windy tonight, so I'm gonna start with Todd. Todd, you got anything?
Had a meeting today. Jefferson County got a $500,000 grant to build a child advocacy center.
Really? I saw that in the Madison paper, yeah.
And Milan's got a big water plant project they're building. That's about all the discussions they had.
Does our money from what Switzerland County hands out, I saw that article. Child advocacy, does Switzerland County's money, is that, because I see they're the southeastern district.
That's a good
So
question.
is Jefferson County making money off of our child advocacy on
That's
that
a
deal?
good question.
They service Jefferson County right now.
There's
They're building another branch.
There's.
If they come in here next
Yeah,
month, we need
that's
to
where all
ask,
the.
Yeah,
ask them.
Jefferson
parts
County's
are all
in with
from
it.
7 counties.
That's a lot
So
of
this,
money.
this big party that they had where they told how much each county gave, so our money went towards that deal.
no.
Yeah.
Well, they got a grant.
It sure looked like it did when, in the article.
Yeah.
Because it lists Dearborn,
Well, our
Switzerland.
money goes into the,
But our kids also go to that place too.
yeah, so basically, when we fund the Child Advocacy Center, we're funding the one in Dillsboro and the one in Madison at the same time. It's the same entity,
Right.
just has two places.
I get that our kids go there, but you do understand that Jefferson County gets all the state funding for having it in their county.
We gotta be a Door County, I guess.
Yeah. We don't have a CAC in Swiss, so.
But they take our kids.
That's all.
Right. My meeting is next week, I think, for that, but did you guys get the email about the State House thing for councils? You probably got it today. It's next Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. They have parking provided off the garage of Ohio State, Indianapolis at the State House. You meet at 9:30 in the Association of Indiana Counties, all the county council people. It has to do with legislation. And they give you a list of House bills. You all should have it in your emails if you don't already. It was from Deanna Burkhart, I think that's how you say her name.
Are you attending?
I think I'm gonna try to do that. After I read all the bills. Because basically it's things that affect funding of the counties. There's Senate bills, House bills that affect our funding for what we have, and it's,
The township one is the one that gets me. There's one bill that wants to combine all of our townships into one. And then there's another one that's saying the townships should get a portion of our, public safety money. So, well, which is it?
only if there's a fire district designated in that township.
Yeah,
They're kind of competing against each other.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how it's gonna go.
So I'm gonna go so I can learn. So if anybody wants to go, let me know. It's next Wednesday. It'll be early morning travel to Indianapolis.
Okay,
Parking and lunch provided by Indiana
it's no.
County Council Association.
It's all day time.
We
Well,
talked
it's
to them about
from-
this, flood.
It's, 9:30 to 2:30. Yeah.
And we-
Well, that's, you pull them to decide, but you see
Yeah,
them in
hey,
the
what
hallway.
about our money for-
Recycling district, we had a meeting and, nothing, no major highlights. They've done a lot of capital improvements last couple of years. So this year their budget was just mostly smaller maintenance items and,
I said next week. Sorry, I said next Wednesday. It's the 22nd. Sorry.
That's on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Well, it's up to you, Randy.
Now I'm meeting with Lena meeting because sexual was that night, so we got other pretty quick, but I think next week or next month, we're gonna take tours. The addition.
It's gonna look good.
Yeah, it's been a long grain there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not gonna look as I'm sure it's in that way.
You realize that concrete goes up $13 a square yard from SRM April 1st? Couldn't have been poured at a better time. So
Great.
you know.
I'm gonna get a report back.
Yeah, there's an increase April 1st from that concrete company. Sent me a letter.
Just SRM,
$13 a square yard goes up.
just SRM.
Yeah, that was from SRM. I don't know what other companies are doing, but that
See,
one.
I
in
follow that
particular-
too.
But that one was pouring the concrete at school. So that's what made me think about it.
Yeah.
You're beating the deadline.
Nope,
You guys?
not been called.
Nothing? Okay.
That's
Well, me,
good.
we did have a fire chief association meeting, as I'm saying, on the 2nd of March. Discussion was, there was the treasury report made. They did get $43,000 check. They cut the checks to all the departments that night. He was talking about the repeater out there. That's still ongoing. They're gonna put a new one on, new water tower that's out there. What was his name? Mr. Duckworth from Patriot Water. And this, municipality was there, so just gave an update. What else there? Was talking about. Lordy. We did talk about the power, percentages and all that, which came to fruition there. Capped it at 6. I did tell Jeff and those guys, hey, come on in down here at that point in October, November, if you need more. East Enterprise is running in the red, is what Jeff has said, as far as their funds. So, we'll see what they
In the
will
red.
do running last 2 years.
2 years.
That's what Jeff said. Yeah.
Just thought they were.
Now, that's just enterprise. Well, that's the way I took it. It's not the fire chiefs.
That
Fire
way.
chiefs, the treasury report.
Was Harold Scranton supposed to be here?
He had texted me, was it Monday night, and I asked him to wait until next month. So I got him, I know what it's about.
He was added to the agenda.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
that's
he had
because-
added, but he never did call Gail to confirm, so I
That
think
is
I have
the same.
respect for all of us. He's holding off and he's looking at a few other things too. So I think, so. Anyway, so, continuing on there, they talked about the road closures and this and that. And then Tom Moore was there and he was talking about 11 to 12 training sessions for those guys this year. So I mean, he wore them out, so, sorry about that, It was a long meeting. We got out there about 8:30, I think, what it was. So, and then also just for one quick thing, last Thursday, same day, that afternoon, I got the opportunity to ride with the sheriff's department, national tour, got jail and, prosecutor there, Ryan, myself and Ryan Harrison. We, took the cruise through the county and, it was just an intriguing day and some intriguing sights and, thank you to what you do. And again, I couldn't express enough appreciation to Brian Morton and all the deputies over there. These guys do a great job for us. So, thank you, sir. So that's all I've got. I'm a little windy, sorry, so, does Floor have anything to say before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Okay, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment? Meeting adjourned.
You got signed papers.
Yeah.
Yes, we got signed this week.
I'll start down there.
Start down there and let's pass this one. That's the only two we got signed.
Well, I'm going back.
Hey, sorry.
We're still on.
Started the ball.
I know Jeff has already, can you make sure that he just checks with the Patriot and Phoebe to see if they contribute on this? On his
If they
deal?
will, or if they can't.
I'll get up in 15 minutes.
I'll be up there.